Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of the Build in Public podcast. I'm your host, KP, and today I am super thrilled to have Rishard Rameez joining us. He's a good friend of mine, and we got to work together for his startup Zown's product and launch, which went terrifically well. And I've since I've got to meet him and got to learn about Zown's story, it was one of those things that really stood out among so many startups that I get to hear about and get to study about. And I thought, okay, it would be so cool to bring him on the pod and unpack all of his journey and lessons learned and where he's going with the ambitions he has for Zone. So that's why I'm excited today. Rishard, welcome to the podcast and thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to be on the podcast.
So for someone who is just tuning in and maybe they haven't read the text interview that I've done with you on the newsletter,
Yeah.
would you mind introducing Zone? Like, how would you define what the startup does? And I know it's zonehomes.com, correct?
Yeah, it's on
You have two
homes.com.
domains, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. Yes. We have a Canadian domain and also a US domain.
Yes. So tell us about Zone. What does it do?
Yeah, no, I mean, Zown solving one of the biggest problems that I think in our lives, in my life, I think in a lot of my friends' lives, which is home ownership. And I think it's a topic that's often talked about in news channels, often debated about in politics, but I think not really a solution out there. And that's where we decided to build something special, where we turn all these bloated real estate commissions into down payment for people who are looking to purchase a home and cut down the time to home ownership by 2 to 3 years. And that's what we do at Zone.
That's brilliant. And so you would be obviously in the real estate category, right? And so there's sort of many layers, right, in the real estate sort of transaction, home ownership, as a category. Where do you exactly fall, or at least for now, what's the wedge to market?
It's kind of funny that you ask. I mean, that's something I think it feels very different every day, to be honest. Because I mean, I sometimes read our reviews and someone I think recently posted saying the best mortgage company ever. But I'm like, we don't even do mortgages by ourselves. And then I think someone also talked about the closing process and all that stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, what we are building, I don't think that is a specific word. What we are building is a one-stop shop for anyone that's looking to buy a home. Usually, when you're buying a home, you have a realtor, you have a mortgage broker, you have a lawyer. What we've done is sort of combine all of these folks together and sort of built one place for people to sort of go through the entire process of getting a mortgage done, finding the right home, placing an offer, getting it accepted, closing. And that is us, the end-to-end transaction. And at the end of the transaction, instead of getting a big, large bill, at Zone, we give you a big, large check that helps you with your down payment. And that's where we come in.
So that specific thing where you flipped um, the expectations generally on what happens at the end of the real estate process, which is like you dole out the big check to the to the
Homeowners.
yeah, as a seller, let's say, right, you dole out the big check. Sorry, as a buyer, you dole out the big check to the seller, and what you guys are doing is basically the opposite of it. And when I first heard about that, I was like, I had to ask you like double, two times,
Yeah.
three times, double, like, what's the catch? Like, is this really true? Am I hearing this right? Like, what's going on? So Zone will give me money? I'm like, what is it? What are you talking about? So can you break that down a little bit?
Absolutely.
Because I think it's a great hook,
Of
and
course.
again, an average person's reaction to that would be like, that's too good to be true. What's the catch? What's happening? So what's the math behind this? and
Of
and,
course.
and also break it down, like, why did you come up with that specific I guess wedge to market?
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, this is a question I think we get asked very often. I mean, we've 300 million transactions after, and we still get asked the same question. What's the catch? It's too good to be true. What's hidden? But I think I think the reason for that question is lack of education, right? I think when you really wrap your head around what happens in a transaction, if you look at the traditional space, a realtor that helps you with the purchase of the home, they do a few things. One, they connect you with mortgage brokers. to get your mortgage done. They find you a property that fits your criteria online. Then they go take you to see these properties. They drive a few hours to maybe the city that you're looking to purchase in and negotiate the deal. And then they might introduce you to a lawyer to close the deal. And this is what a realtor does. Now, if you look at all these hours that a realtor spends on this transaction, it's roughly about 20 hours that a realtor spends on a transaction.
Right.
Now, let's take a average home of $1 million.
Right.
The commissions that the buying agent gets paid is 3%. That is
Mm.
roughly $30,000 on $1 million property.
Right.
Now, you have $30,000 divide by 20 hours. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't
Dude,
simply
wait.
make
Actually,
sense.
let's do it. I want to do it. How much is that? Because that's the crazy that I never even thought about.
Yeah, it's about
Uh,
$1,500 an hour, right? If
yeah,
I did the math right. Yeah.
$1,500. You're right.
So
That's
again,
insane. That's like more expensive than like cardiologists.
yeah, so it doesn't make sense. But if you also take a step back, why are realtors still struggling after making that kind of money? And that's because for a realtor to do one transaction, they have to roughly work with 10 people.
Mm.
That means they have to spend money on marketing. Today, a good realtor is who's good at marketing, right?
Right.
So they spend a lot of money on Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever that is. So they spend money getting 10 leads. So let's say each customer costs about $2,000 to $3,000 in real estate. So that is $30,000 they've spent on acquiring 10 customers. But out of these 10, only one person is going to buy, and that person's not going to buy today or tomorrow. They're going to take their time, they're going to find a property, and even once they've purchased a property, you still have to wait roughly 3 months to get your commission check.
Right.
Now, you are actually, it's not 20 hours they're spending 200 hours,
Yeah, because all the
right?
weight,
They're spending,
all the
they
yeah,
still have to spend the same time with others. They don't know out of the 10 who's actually going to transact.
exactly. Yeah.
That's where the math kind of breaks down. It's not actually one transaction. They have to make the money that they've spent on all these other 9 people through
Right.
that one person who is going to be transacting. That's where Zone changes everything. We treat real estate just like how we treat everything else in life, which is essentially you have to be efficient in the process. How do we cut down these 9 individuals? How do we also make realtors do what they're supposed to do rather than cold calling and spending money on marketing? That's not their expertise, really, right? They get a license to negotiate, they get a license to find you the right home. And
Right.
what we have done is essentially empower our realtors to do just that and not
Mm.
focus on any of these other things. We have a team of really good marketing folks who generate the lead. We have a online mortgage qualification tool that qualifies you to purchase a home.
Right.
We have essentially a zone advisor who is a licensed realtor who educates you on the market, finds you the right home. Then instead of this agent also driving around and showing you properties, we have a network of showing agents who simply drive
Wow.
around and show you properties, right?
Interesting.
Their simple
Wow.
job is to show you the home. And then when you like a home, this zone realtor who initially found you the home will negotiate and get the deal done. So now
Mm.
the zone realtor is specialized in finding you the right home and negotiating and getting the deal done. And we pay our realtors an hourly salary. And that
Oh,
way, they are incentivized to provide you the best service because they're not trying to make a sale. Because in the traditional space, realtors only make money when you buy a home. So
right.
they
Because
have
they're
to sell you
so
on
they're
the
trying
home
to
as
almost pressurize you into like deciding and committing soon,
exactly,
right?
right? Because
Yeah.
longer you wait, longer I'm spending money without making
Yeah.
any commission, right? With Zone, our realtors get paid right away for the work that they
Wow.
do. Our showing agents gets paid right after a showing. So
That's so
everything is
radical. That's so
exactly,
radical. Like the fact that you decoupled showing agents
exactly
from
with their
realtors.
exactly.
I mean, there may
Now,
be an overlap, but like the core tasks are slightly different, right? Like
well, that's
so,
exactly. So now we are actually not spending that 200 hours a realtor spends. In our case, we are spending the 20 hours they should be spending.
and they're
Now
getting
we
top dollar hourly pay for that 20
they're
hours.
getting
And
paid
I
the
don't,
top dollar as well. They're not just like making random salaries. They are
right.
also making the top of the top per
Yeah.
hour salary now, and they're
That's
getting paid for every productive hour than not not all these not unproductive hours. They don't have
and
those
so
hours.
you must be attracting forward-thinking realtors, by now
Absolutely. I
into
think
this.
a lot of realtors who join us are forward thinking. They believe in the fact, hey, they should get paid for the work they do. There
Yeah.
should be a
So for
customer.
example, just to kind of the reason I
Yeah,
am sort of interrupting you is because it's like so again mind blowing and radical.
of course.
So an average realtor could have a month where they may have had like five quote unquote customers in the pipeline, but have sold nothing, or because they haven't decided. Let's say that
Exactly.
means the person hasn't made any money for that month, right? Through the commission checks in the traditional
Absolutely.
space. I'm sure there's some baseline, but still, generally speaking, they haven't made the lion's share of their salary, which is very stressful
Of
for them.
course.
It's not great, stressful. They still did the work, right? It's not like they slept and like this happened. Like
Exactly.
they
And then
still did the work.
that affects the experience as well for the
Yeah,
10th person who's coming to go see the
yeah,
property. He's
right.
taking all that frustration out on that one.
Yeah,
That's where we change it. So, I mean, 20 hours of productive work, we pay $100 an hour. That is $2,000 spent.
yeah,
Out of the 30,000 minus
yeah,
2,000, we are left with $28,000.
yeah.
Now, out of
Wow.
that, we give 50% back to the person who's buying the home. And we still get to keep a lot more money than even an average brokerage or a realtor does.
Right. So you can cover your marketing costs, right? You can cover your
We
admin
cover
overhead
marketing
costs.
costs,
Yeah.
the $2,000 in terms of operating,
Yeah.
and all these other software costs, and we are profitable right now, right?
That's
So,
insane.
so now
Oh,
you
oh my.
look at, okay, that's still a lot of money we still make after giving back the money.
Yeah, but
Right?
still the customer's getting 15K in this
Exactly,
example, or
which is significant,
which
right,
is
compared
a
to nothing.
lot.
And I think that's where we make the like
Because
we
think about this, the customer's happy. I'm just kind of,
yeah,
like the customer's happy because they got the 15K check, which is a
of
real
course.
cash they're getting, from the, transaction. And the realtor is happy because there was no inefficiencies and wastage, and like there was
Exactly,
no, right, like they feel like they were compensated fairly for all the hours and the work they
of
put in.
course. There's no
um,
uncertainty, right?
right, and then you guys are happy because you got all the boxes checked in terms of everybody was paid, and then you still had a little bit margin for your profit.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
insane. This is
So now
why, this is
when
my reaction, by the way, to anyone watching. Like, this is exactly how I made Richard like explain to me when I first met him, like three times. Like, I can't believe this, because Richard, like every once in a while you come across, because to me this is a business model innovation,
of course,
right? This is a decoupling. It's almost like unbundling, bundling strategy. So every once in
absolutely.
a while you come across a startup like this where maybe the tech is it's not the Nvidia style innovation. It's not the next Uber or whatever, but it's the connecting the dots in a way that nobody's ever thought of,
Of
and
course.
a couple examples that come to my mind are, if you remember Warby Parker, right? Like the famous
Yeah.
eyewear brand. Like when they were pitching that idea, it was such a radical thing, because
Yeah.
like the traditional way was you had to go to the optometrist and like get the
Then
get the
get
prescription
the license.
glasses,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And then you were limited by the shelf of whatever
Of course.
5, 10, 20 options, and then you had to
Yes.
try right there, and then decide right there with that pressure, and then come home, and then the thing will be mailed to you, or you would pick it up next day.
Yeah.
Whereas Watermark would be like, okay, how about we just send you all the frames, whichever you want. You
Whichever you
send us
want.
the ones you're not using.
Yeah.
That was too good to be true. I was
Yeah,
like,
of
this
course.
can't be real. Um, and so I'm getting the same kind of vibe. It's the same thing where it's like, why did nobody else think of this, the same way, right? Um,
Yeah, and also, I mean, the cool part about even the tech piece is when you sort of unbundle what an agent does, it also becomes easier to innovate. For
yes,
example, so what we've done is we've sort of treated this as a production line. Why a
as a
production line is efficient and they're able to
as
generate
a
the same,
production. Sorry, wait, what, you treated this as a what production? What
just like a production line,
line?
right? In a
Okay, yeah, yeah,
production
like
line, you can
as-
make sure your quality is the same because it
yeah,
has to be the same
yeah,
and it is the same product, right? But from real estate, it is not the same. One realtor is like a great experience, another one's a bad one, like all
yeah,
that. What we've done is quality control as well because we have compartmentalized how real estate work into like the education piece, finding the home, going on showings, placing offers. And what we've done is we've built tech for each
each of
unit for agents to be able to be super efficient. So, for
wow,
example, when we are placing the offers, we empower our agents to really negotiate, and we've built AI tools to automate the offer writing process. That is just
Mhm.
simple, right? You just our agents can talk to the AI agent, and it'll just fill out all the information and have the offer written. Usually, this takes sometimes a couple of hours for an agent to write an offer.
Right.
But
Yeah.
our agents are simply focused on negotiating and not the paperwork stuff. So, for example, one of our agents who just recently joined us, only I think 24 or 5 years old, he just did 11 transactions last month.
Wow.
And most agents don't actually even do more than a single transaction the entire year,
Yeah.
right? 11 transactions, and he became the 12th in terms of ranking based on number of transactions. And for him, he still had a lot of time left in his schedule to do other things. And
Wow.
how? Because he's doing simply what he's good at, negotiating.
Mm.
And we
Mm.
use the tech to automate all the other things,
Wow.
right? So
Wow.
even when it comes to finding comparables for a property, like, hey, I like this property, what do you think the price of this is? Instead of the realtor having to go through putting radiuses, finding recently sold and all that, we
Right.
have tech that is built by pressing a button. It brings all the properties. It looks at the differences between the two properties. Hey, this property is sold a month ago, it has one less bathroom, and it is a bit more renovated in the inside, and the price
Mm.
adjusted price is this, and they click send
Mm.
and it gets sent. So
Mm.
that's how we've built tech to sort of optimize workflow and also increase the efficiency for each line of the product.
Right. Because you were able to unbundle the whole
Exactly.
experience, you could micro focus on each.
Exactly. It's like
Um,
microservices is what we built
right.
essentially. Yeah.
Wow. It's really brilliant, man. I mean, I'm still like in awe of the core idea. So to tell the users, I mean the listeners, about the fun story of the Reddit rage post, because I think that
Uh-huh.
was another thing that really stood out for me when I heard about
Of
it.
course. Of
Um,
course.
so that was the genesis of the idea that eventually came to be. But what happened there, and then what?
Of
Yeah,
course.
tell us more.
I mean, I mean, me buying my first home, I think about 3.5 to 4 years ago, I was super excited, like saved a lot of money to buy my first home, and super excited.
And
And
this is in Toronto, correct? Or is it?
this is in Toronto. Yeah, this is in Toronto, and I bought a home, and also decided to sell during all this COVID stuff and everything. So I realized the market was good, and I also decided to sell my home. And I sold my home, and I realized, shit, I had to pay $70,000 in commissions,
Yeah.
and that is almost all of my down payment that I
Yeah.
saved up for years. And I took my Excel sheet, put down all the hours each agent might have spent. I'm like, 20 hours, $70,000 does not make sense
Yeah.
at all. So I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense, and this is unfair, right? I'm all in for like fair work and compensating people above and beyond when there has been work put in that reflects the numbers. But here, I couldn't make sense in any way, and that's when I was like, okay, I wanna take my frustration out somewhere, but I also don't want to like go on like social media where my name's out there and say, hey, I hated this realtor and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, let me just post it on Reddit. It was, I think, my first or the second post on Reddit ever. And
Wow.
I basically wrote my frustration out. There was no chat GPT back then. So I just had to type it all out. And I posted it and I went to bed. And I wake up and I'm like, looking at my phone and I'm like, I'm just scrolling and there's Reddit notifications, Reddit notifications. It's not ending. I'm like, what is going on? And I click on Reddit and open, and it's the homepage. The first story is my post, and I go in. I'm like 600 some comments or something along those lines, and I think it said a million people has seen it, and 95% upvoted it. And there
Wow.
was so many DMs from like, I mean, from I think someone from Joe Rogan's team reached out, so many
Wow.
people, and I was like, okay, let me take a step back, let me digest this. I'm like, okay, this is a much bigger problem than just a rage post, and
Mm.
there is a opportunity to build something really cool here. And I posted a small comment in the comment section saying, hey guys, if this comment gets enough votes, I'm going to drop everything I'm doing right now and I'm going to start this company.
Startup.
I
Yeah.
think it got 6,000 upvotes in 2 hours. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm doing
A
it.
validation for you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the Reddit post is still up there. I mean, it is on our homepage, on our story, and you can read the comments. You can read my own post, all that stuff. And I mean, even to this date, I was at an event last week speaking, and one of the folks come to me and he's like, "I saw your Reddit post. I commented on it." I'm like, "This is crazy. This is 3 years after."
That's crazy, man. 3 years. I'll make sure that I plug that link in the show
Absolutely,
notes because I think it's worth just checking
of
out.
course.
Um, what so when that was happening, right? Were you in the mindset of I want to start a startup. I'm looking for ideas. Like, what were you the night before? What were you doing? Like, what was your life like?
The night before, I was very frustrated that I lost seventy thousand
about
dollars.
about the house. But apart from that, from a professional career point of view, were you at a
Yeah,
startup already? Were
yeah.
you
I
exploring?
was a part of another startup. I was a part
Okay,
of another startup
right,
as well in real estate again,
right.
and so we were just focused on that, and this happened, and of course, I think this was like, okay, I have to stop everything and do this. This
You really
no better.
you really took action from that day?
Right. So not the exact same day, actually.
Yeah.
I actually did call one of my friends, and who's now a co-founder of mine here at Zone. And I called
Wait, who is
him,
it? Someone I know?
Nabil.
Nabil.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So he leads our product side now, and I actually called him and I said, dude, there's this sick idea, and I think a lot of people actually want a solution, and I have a sick idea. Let's do you want to take this and run with it? Because I'm working on something else with another friend of mine. Can you start this and go, and I can be an advisor to this company?
Right.
And he said, bro, give me like a week. I have to really think through and come back to you. And the next day I call him back. I'm like, dude, you don't have a week. You gotta tell me now. And he goes like, um, okay, I'm gonna get back to you tomorrow. And I think the next day he goes like, I really love the idea. I want to do this, but I'm not sure if I can do this by myself. And he's like, so really sorry, dude. I don't think I can do this. So the conversation ended there, and it took me like 5 days, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this now.
You're gonna do
And
this.
yeah, and I called him up, and I'm like, dude, let's start this. And I think that's how we got started. I think within 7 days we were up and rolling.
Wow, that's crazy. So, fast forward a couple months and a couple inflection points, right? Take me through the moment when you pitched investors, because this being such a radical and novel idea and like slightly offbeat idea, I'm curious to hear like what was their reaction like. What were some of the objections maybe some others may have had, and what were the things that the ones who finally invested? I think is it Moxie Ventures finally invested?
Yeah, yeah. Moxie invested in us, but I think the first few people who invested in us were just my friends and family,
Yeah.
including the realtor who worked on my file. He was the first one of the first people to invest.
Wait, is that wait? Was it the guy who you were complaining about?
Kind of,
I think
yes, he was.
was it maybe not personally. It was not about him though. I think it was the
It
math.
wasn't personally. It's just
The
how the
math was
industry is at the end of the
right.
day,
What did you
right?
say?
It's not just him. It was the industry, and he knew it
Industry,
was supposed to change.
the status
And
quo. Yeah,
he was the owner. He is the owner of a 200 plus agent brokerage.
yeah,
And he's related to me. So obviously, you go with someone who is related to buy the
yeah.
home, right? Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to be anonymous on my post. But I think he realized right away, and he said, like, I agree with you. I mean, this shouldn't be the case,
Yeah.
right?
Wow, that's great
I
validation coming from an insider.
exactly, right, because he owns the fourth largest Century 21 brokerage in Canada, right?
Wow.
And he invested. He was actually the first investor in Zone because I told him, hey, I actually hated the experience, and he invested, and then a previous board member of a company that acquired our first company invested, and a lot of our friends gave checks, and they were like, they didn't even care, like, to know what the numbers are going to be or anything. They were like, this is a great solution. We need to solve this, and we are ready to, throw
Wow.
our money. And I still remember there's one guy who crowdfunded on his own to with I think about 30 or 40 people, and he had his own agreement with them, and he gave me one check, and he's like, hey, put it under my name. But then later I find out, like, he's collected, like, from a bunch of small,
Like an
yeah,
SPV, right? Like, yeah, he did like
exactly,
a informal
SPV,
SPV probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Wow.
how.
So there was always, so that means that there's always been sort of that resonance from friends and family and like anyone who
Absolutely,
came across the idea,
absolutely,
um, who
absolutely.
was the
And
first institutional check and how was that journey for you?
yeah, I mean, our first traditional, the institutional check came from Moxie.
Yeah.
And I think for the longest time, we've debated if we wanted to go down the VC route or not. And again, that comes partly from our experience in dealing with Canadian VCs here. And obviously, I think they're
It's very
very,
different though, right? It's very different. I think
yeah,
Moxie is based out of California.
yeah, Moxie is based out of
Yeah.
California,
It's
which is
very different, right? Yeah.
which is completely different, and that was our first exposure to a VC out of California, and it worked out for us. And I mean, which is why we are also moving to California now, because again, I think especially Canada has an ecosystem that is good, but less. They have a very sort of, they're not prone to taking a lot of risk. They want to
Risk. Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
B2B companies with recurring revenue and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. And
Right.
for B2C, it's I mean, it's either you don't make it or you make it really
Yeah.
big, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's binary. Yeah. And
exactly,
B2C is filled with risk. I mean, it's just
exactly. It's complete.
it,
It's
yeah,
because
and
you're not.
you need to have a stomach. Like you need to have that risk appetite
Absolutely.
to take on B2C.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not just Joe is your customer and he are selling to Joe. You're selling to Joe, you are selling to John, you are selling to Jake, whoever that is, right? And everyone's different, and everyone wants something else.
Something different. Yeah.
So that is also the beauty of, I think.
But the thing with B2C companies though is that the risk to reward ratio is amazing. It's dramatic in the sense that,
Absolutely.
right, like we know when we grew up, I'm sure you felt this too, like when you think of a startup, like the names that come to your mind is like Facebook, right,
Yeah,
like or Uber, right, or
yeah,
Airbnb, and these are all B2C, right?
yeah,
And so the B2C has the impact potential that's global,
absolutely,
which typical B2B doesn't have. Like HubSpot, how many people don't know about HubSpot? Like my mom doesn't know HubSpot, right? So it's the beauty of that is that it's like if it works, like you said, it will work globally. I mean, there will be some adaptation you need to
of
do
course.
based on regions, but like the idea is like the sky is the ceiling, right? But initially, it's hard to convince people to believe in it and so on because it takes a certain kind of investor profile.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, that's what I think. Even, like, I think when we spoke to the individuals from Moxie, I think that's when we decided, okay, we are going to move forward with this path, because I think they did see the potential of what this could become.
yeah,
And obviously, the investors from the Moxie team, Katie, Ashwin, and Alex, and the entire team. I think they're just amazing people, and they understand the problem, and they resonated with the problem so much that they felt like a part of our team,
yeah,
and that's the reason we went forward with it. I think that was our biggest reason to move forward with the VC route.
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for the chapters that are coming next for you. So I got a couple more questions.
Yeah.
For In a way, would you say Zone's a marketplace, or is it more of a all-in-one shop, which is less of a marketplace but more of just the end-to-end managed marketplace?
Yeah, I think Zone, as it is right now, it is essentially a marketplace for now. but what it is also is a end-to-end experience for someone who's looking to buy a home. It's
Yeah.
like you go to Amazon, you find the thing, you compare the prices, you check out and pay and everything, right? So that is the experience that we are trying to provide with Zone when it comes to home buying. We are
Yeah.
also enabling them financially to buy that home, similar to how buy now, pay later was
Yeah.
for these payment checkouts. We're
Right.
bringing that into real estate from a transaction angle as well, by enabling someone who was 2 years away from buying a home to be able to buy a home today. So we are
Mm.
bringing in that transactional angle, the fintech angle, the prop tech angle from real estate, and sort of it's a combination of all this, and obviously the marketplace with the sellers and the buyers in it.
Right.
So it's that one-stop shop, just like how Rippling is for
HR.
companies and softwares
Yeah.
side. Zone is essentially that for home buyers and home sellers.
Nice. So building a marketplace is a chicken and egg problem, right?
Yes.
You have two sets of customers, the demand and the supply. What are your three tips as someone who's built Zone and has grown it so far? What specific tips or lessons you have with marketplaces?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think figuring out is it the chicken or the egg. I think it's a never ending, I think, conversation. Pick one and just go with it, and then see if what happens. Learn from it. If that is not the one, pivot to the other one, and which is what exactly we did. For us, we felt like let's start with the selling side because hey, when I sold my home, that's when I really felt the pain that I had to pay $70,000 in commissions. So let's start with the selling side and then build towards the buying side. And we launched the selling side. We got to, I think, roughly about 100K monthly revenue in I think in the first year or year and a half. But it didn't feel like it was about to explode or get to that exponential growth. It was growing, but not at the pace that we wanted it to be. And we built all these AI tools to get home valuations, renovations, and all that kind of stuff. I think I see a lot of companies that are starting to do this now, and like I can see what we did 3 years ago. And because everyone's coming in from the point of okay, we are going to do automate this and this and this, and hence reduce the cost associated with selling a home, and that way we will attract people to sell with us. Sure, works. Principally works. It's a good hook. Yeah, hey, instead of paying 3% to sell your home, pay a flat fee of $5,000. Works. Here are the tools that you need. Works. But at the end of the day, nothing will make sense if the seller can't sell their property,
Yeah.
right? So in a marketplace today, in the traditional space, what a realtor does is they list the property on the MLS, and they
Just wait.
wait
Yeah.
and wait. There's nothing that they can do
Right.
to like even the best realtor can't really do much. They
Yeah.
might have a small mailing list that they might mail. They might do some Facebook ads here and there. That's not really going to fundamentally change anything. Then we said, okay, who's really attracted to sell their properties with us? Most people who are attracted to sell their property with us are first time home sellers because
Right.
they are tech savvy. They are in their 30s, early 40s. They want to use some tech and save money. Okay, great. So these are first time home sellers, which means they bought a home that could be the home for the next set of first time home buyers.
Yeah. True.
So if we can enable first-time home buyers to come into our marketplace and buy these properties, then we will be able to actually sell these properties, not just like build tools and reduce the price, but actually get these properties to sell. So we decided, okay, we don't want to compete with realtors and spending marketing budget to get more deals from today. What can we do to bring leads from a year ago, 2 years into the future?
Wow.
Why aren't they buying now? They have the income, they have the good credit score, but what's stopping them is savings.
Down payment. Yeah.
Yes.
Savings. Yeah.
It's the down payment, right? So we said, okay, if roughly a person saves about $500 to $1,000 a month, so if we can give back someone $15,000, $20,000, that will cut down roughly 2 years, 1 to 2 years from their time to home ownership.
Right.
And no one competes in this space today
Yeah.
because you can't give that money up front. So
Right.
we built a financial tool that can give this money up front. So that way we pulled leads from the future, 2 years into
Mm.
the future. So instead of waiting for 2 years, we brought them into today's
So,
timeline.
so if someone's, let's say, on a savings journey, right, and
Yeah.
their down payment goal is 50K, what you're saying is by the time they get to 35K, they can call you or they can use
Exactly.
Zone,
We
and
can
then
call it as
Zone will like fill in the 15K, and then now you're ready for your first
absolutely,
home, right?
absolutely.
Which would have taken another 2 years, maybe, or maybe another
Yeah,
year.
I mean,
Or
like waiting for 2 more years, there's a few things that's happening, right? Waiting for 2 more years. One is your money is also not hedged against what you want to purchase, which
yeah,
is real estate. So if real estate prices go up by that 2 years, you also now need to save extra, not that fifty
yeah,
thousand. Might
correct,
have to save an extra 5,000 or 10,000 to get buy the same house.
right.
And the second thing is you're not also building equity just yet. You're spending money on paying someone else's mortgage. So we
Hmm.
enable people to start building wealth 1 to 2 years earlier than they would have without Zone. And
So
so that
do
way,
customers, do they tell you stories about how, like, they saw the 15K ad, or the
yeah.
concept, and they're like, okay, I started saving, or I started like becoming more focused, knowing the fact that there's 15K at the finish line, or like, what how has that in real life played out for customers?
I mean, we initially, when we launched, like I said, for us, we wanted to figure out the marketplace. We started the sell side. We wanted to do the buying side because we would have that extra, we would have a 10x buyer pool to sell these properties now
Right,
directly. And that was the idea, right? But then when we went into the market, we saw something that was very strange. People who weren't ready or thinking of even saving are now starting to buy homes with us, because what ended up happening was, let's say on a $600,000 home,
right.
the the 15,000 covers a huge portion of the
The-
money that's needed to buy that home. So now
yeah,
all of a sudden you are
because
not
usually it's
thinking
about 3.5%. I mean, in the US, the
3.5%
FHA
equity,
loan, right?
right? So exactly.
3.5%.
So let's say
Yeah,
on a 600,000, you're looking at roughly
18 to
$21,000,
20K. Yeah,
right?
yeah. Wow.
So now all of a sudden, Zone is giving you 9,000 out of, like, we give roughly 1.5 to 2% off that price. So let's say in this case we give 2%, that is $12,000. Now all of a sudden it looks possible to buy a home.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like within
It
reach,
feels
right?
more attainable, right? Now
Yeah,
you're going to figure out, okay, where can I get this additional 15,000? Maybe I can sell some stocks here, or I can ask a friend, I can ask my parents. All of a
yeah.
sudden, it didn't come from, like, we thought, okay, we are going to cut down the time to home ownership for people who are already saving. But what it ended up doing was it actually sort of brought this feeling back to people who have given up on home ownership. I mean,
Do-
recently we had a couple that bought a home with us, and they were like, we were thinking of going back to the country they came from. They immigrated to Canada, and they were thinking of going back because they thought home ownership wasn't possible here, and
yeah.
they wanted to build a family here. But all of a sudden, now with Zone, it was possible. Now this became their home.
Wow. Do they I mean, I think, like you said, like, even if you help them with the 2% among the within the 3.5%, that's like half or more than half,
More than
right?
half,
What they
yeah.
have to bring. Um, Again, do they act surprised and ask, like, is this a mortgage? Is this a loan? Like, is the personal loan that I have to pay back, or
I
is
mean,
it
yeah, I mean, we get
equity?
that
Right?
question a lot, right? Which is one of the reasons why we put it on our website. It's not a loan. We don't take any equity. You don't have to pay us back, right? I mean, a lot of people are not used to
And
sort
for
of
you, how are you floating that money? And for you, it's coming from the pool, from the seller savings you're making through efficiency and things like that,
so
right?
we get paid from the seller, the 3%, right? The commission that we get paid. But we've created a financial tool that allows us to advance that even before we get
Yeah.
paid, and have it as a
Dude, I
receivable
mean,
and
that's
fill it
just
up.
brilliant, man. I mean, just brilliant. Just brilliant. I just
Simple, but
cannot.
it makes a whole it makes a complete difference.
It's a whole difference, right? And you just changed the game from inside out. I mean, I can't. It's one of those ideas that it feels like such a what if idea,
Yeah.
right? I just can't. I mean, I can't wait for America to discover Zone, because I know that's sort of my segue to the next part, which is your future ambitions and, like, the
Yeah.
roadmap coming into 2025. I know you're planning to move to SF. You guys, all of you as a team, you're
Yeah.
gonna spend 3 months. So tell the audience, tell me about your plans for America. Zone, we've done the launch. I'm so honored to be part of that
Of
launch
course.
campaign when you guys went live. So yeah, tell us more.
Yeah, no, I mean, we are live in California. We've already helped a bunch of people buy their first homes in California, even without us being in California.
Wow.
And we are super excited to, I think, make home ownership affordable and attainable for everyone, right? Not just Canadians, but also every single American. I
Yeah.
think it's such a big piece of our identity, right? Where we grow up and where we call our home, and it cannot be completed without truly being able to call this place home. And we are excited to bring that to California first, and of course, I think we have plans to launch across the U.S. Within the next 6 to 12 months in every single state. And we can't wait to bring it to people like you and me who have been priced out of the market, who are forced to pay someone else's mortgage, and we think it's unfair, right?
Yeah.
We think it's really unfair, and
Man, it's
we
such a
need to.
powerful line too. Like you're
Yeah,
forced to pay somebody else's mortgage.
yeah,
Ah, such a powerful line. Because I
yeah,
spent about 6 to 7 years paying rent. I mean, more than that, but it's at least the last 6, 7 years where I was paying very high rent. Um, for a townhome we were living in, because the area we like, and
yeah.
it's close to, it's got a bunch of criteria that we like, and we wanted. However, it was very expensive, and all of that money was, equity is gone. Like, I mean, I had no equity in the house. Eventually, obviously,
Yeah.
that 7 years was just like wasted. And as you know, we bought a home last year, and since then I've been thinking, like, man, if only I bought the house like 7 years ago, because it was not that hard. Like, when eventually
Yeah, I mean,
buying a
it's crazy.
house.
I mean, if you look at the statistics, someone who owns a home versus someone who doesn't own a home, the difference in net worth is 40x.
Wow.
It's 40,
40x. Wow.
right? So, which
Crazy.
is ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? Which makes sense because real estate is one of the biggest ways to really build wealth,
Right.
right? And even if you look at most of these folks who have made it, most of their portfolio is actually real estate,
Real estate. Yeah.
right? So it's I mean it's one of the most beautiful way because you get to live in it
Live.
and
Yeah,
you
exactly.
build while living in it, right? So
I,
you
I
want to
mean,
make
it's the opposite of buying cars, right? So the problem is, the
exactly
cars is
right.
like, you buy a nice, Audi, and then once you leave the parking lot, you lost
It's not
25% of the
it's a
value.
depreciating asset at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's
but
an
hey,
appreciating asset. I mean, dude,
yeah,
I mean, I think it's brilliant. The other thing I wanted to say was, yeah, back to that line, like, you're paying somebody's mortgage is such a great punch in the gut line, right? Like,
of,
because when an average person doesn't think when they're paying rent, they're like, yeah, like, I'm paying rent, I have to pay rent. But you
yeah,
really, you are covering for somebody's mortgage
pretty
payment,
much, yeah,
pretty
I
much.
mean, a lot of people compare saying, "Hey, but rent is 3,000, my mortgage is going to be 4,000," but 3,000 is lost.
Yeah, even if it's
The
70, 80%, I mean, it's right. I mean,
exactly.
it's
Even paying
irrelevant.
4,000, even 50%, let's say your interest, you're still
Yeah,
saving
you
money.
still,
As
yeah,
long
yeah.
as your monthly mortgage payment is not equal to the monthly interest payments, you're net saving.
Yes, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think that punchline around, like, because that'll motivate people who are maybe on the fence, or maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
they're thinking of buying a home, but they're pushing it to the future. Like, that kind of sort of narrative and reminder will just immediately wake them up, saying, like, hey, why are you wasting away your potential? Just
Absolutely.
just and especially the fact that you're questioning the status quo, and you're challenging the problem, but not just saying it for the rage bait, but you actually have an offering, a solution, which is Zone, right? So that's brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's really awesome. So, again, last question as we wrap up. I know we're
Of
at the
course.
top of the hour for time. I could go on for hours, man. You such a you've got great energy. I mean, I told you last time too. You and I, we can just talk for hours.
Thank you.
What is some advice that you would give for a young founder who's maybe starting their first startup? What would you tell yourself, when you were, let's say, you go back and had to give advice to your younger self about startup journey?
I mean, the biggest thing I've learned throughout my journey is there's a lot of people who will be ready to give you advice, right?
Hmm.
Friends, family, advisors, other founders, me, you, whoever that is, right? We are all willing to provide advice, help, whatnot. consume all the advice, right? Take it, but still do whatever you want to do,
Mm.
right? I think there is a the consume everything in such way that you can analyze why they're saying, but focus less on what they're saying.
Wow.
If I had taken the advice when I started Zone, hey, this is not going to work because, hey, this is like skydiving. You are asking someone to skydive without the instructor attached for the first time. So, first time home buyers or sellers aren't going to do this. I probably wouldn't have even started the company, but I paid attention to why they're saying what they're saying. Why is such important, and especially coming from, like, previous founders, someone who's experienced customers, that why has so much content behind it. That is what truly will help you build something really cool. For me, that why was okay, because it is such a large transaction, there's a huge
Yeah.
risk involved, and hence you don't feel comfortable. Okay, then if we reduce the risk, it might work. If we made people feel safe, it might work,
Right.
right? So these are the things that helped us build our DNA, right? But it's not because what I'm going to say might depend on my last conversation with my wife, or
Yeah.
like whatever I ate or whatnot, right? Because we're just speaking, right? Like what I'm saying, it has should be focused less, but why I'm saying it should be the main focus. And even when you're talking to customers, a lot of customers will say, hey, I didn't like this button, I didn't really enjoy this feature. But forget about what they're saying, go into more details. Why do you think they might have said that, right?
Mm.
Like, why didn't they like this feature? And that is the solution. It's not to like listen to the face value and take out that, or like whatnot. I think that is something a lot of founders, I think, kind of get into. Like, you have these early advisors, they advise you something, you do that. But hey, you are a founder, you are ready to take that risk, and which means you should be able to think very differently,
Yeah.
and focus on the why rather than the what. I think that's something that has really helped me, and I think that's something every founder can, I think, learn from.
That's a brilliant answer. I think I've asked that question to so many founders on this podcast. I don't think anyone said that. So that's very unique, of what you just said. Definitely came from your lived experience too, right? So with that said, we're gonna call this a wrap. It's been such a pleasure, and it's been.
Thank you.
I mean, I can't believe the hour went by so quick,
I
Rishard.
know,
So
I know.
thank you so much for being here, man. I mean, I wish all the best for you and the team. You guys, even working with you and spending time with you, and and when I did these phone calls and things like that with you, was such a bliss. You built a great
Likewise.
culture. Everybody felt that they were high agency, but they're also fun. They're not
Of
taking it
course.
too seriously, right? So,
Of course.
yeah, thank you so much, and
Thank you so much, KB.
wishing you all the best for Zone and your expansion in America.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you. See you.